The following is a sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE Results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. I'm Andy Brownell, News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. It is Saturday morning, and that means it's time to check in with Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group-RE Results. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
Wonderful to chat with you again.
Yeah, those weeks go fast, don't they? Faster and faster.
I know. Especially when we get to the summer. They seem to even accelerate even more.
Well, and I think with business, I feel like I'm in my spring market now, so it's busy.
Okay, well, maybe
great.
Let's check in on that to start out with our discussions about Rochester real estate. You sent over a few more statistics from your company that
look pretty promising, don't they?
Yeah, especially on the overall numbers for all of your RE/MAX results.
Yeah,
show that things are peaking at the same sort of peak that you would just normally see earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think right now we're actually 14% higher than this time last year.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so things are doing really well, and we're super excited about that. We still have low inventory, so definitely still need listings. According to the stats that we received, we are 18.6% fewer homes on the market in the Rochester area, our CMAR area here, than we were in 2019. So that's quite a few. It actually equates to about 250 physical listings.
I was looking at your historical data, and to me, it indicates this has absolutely nothing to do with the COVID-19. This is just a part of the historical trend.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the inventory part for sure, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, like we have talked several times over the past few weeks, that it has affected people in the sense that maybe the timing got adjusted, but it doesn't mean people who were going to move are not going to move. It doesn't mean people who were going to downsize aren't going to downsize, or who were going to leave Minnesota aren't going to leave Minnesota. But some people did adjust the timing.
But also, I'm no expert on this, but to me it seems that there must be just building pressure for new construction with the interest rates where they're at and everything else.
Oh, my gosh, absolutely.
The dam must burst at some point.
Exactly. and the thing is that as you drive around town, you'll see there's, so many new developments opening up here and there and everywhere. So it reminds me a lot of when I first got into real estate back in 2000. Building was at an all-time high. Everywhere you looked, there were new construction homes, and then it kind of slowed way down and then started to pick up gradually, and now I feel like it's really hot again.
Yeah, and I think especially locally, from my own observations, we're on the flip side of where we were heading into the late 2000s, where you might argue that we were overbuilt at that point. And now, And now I think it would definitely, especially for home construction, we're underbuilt.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll see more activity there. And, of course, when you do that, that's going to free up the inventory for those wanting to get into the more affordable homes.
Right. And as long as we, everything that we hear about these interest rates, because we hear it's no time soon that they're going to go up. So we should have a good year and maybe even a little more with these really comfortable interest rates, which is awesome. Yeah,
the Fed, was it last week or the week before, the chairman came out and basically said, we're not looking at touching these interest rates until 2022, probably.
Right. So, we got to have some rebuild, right?
Yeah, that could lead to some very promising times for folks who have real estate here in town.
Well, the thing about in town, our number one driving force is the health of Mayo Clinic, right?
Sure.
And, I think the predictions were that by the end of June, Mayo Clinic would be at 75% up and running, and I think they've already surpassed that. And I think from what I've heard from my inside connections is that they'll be at 100% by the end of June. So
inside, yeah, I have some inside connections as well, and they tell me the same sort of things. That even anecdotally, that some of the international business is coming back. So
yeah, which is awesome.
Oh, it is. That's what drives the machine, basically.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, I know we wanted to talk a little bit today about what realtors do. I mean, obviously we know they buy and sell homes or help folks buy and sell homes, but that is a really simplistic definition.
Yes, and I'm going to go on the record to say that I will speak for what I will do as a realtor, because I might say, call me up if you need this or need that, and there might be other realtors that say, why are you calling me about this? So I think that each realtor kind of has their own menu of services, so to speak, and some are clearly interested in helping people buy houses only, and those are buyers' representatives, and there are some realtors that want to list houses only. There are some realtors that will both help with buy and list, but here at the Gwaltney Group, we have a very, very broad, I guess, wide array of services. Let's say that.
A full service.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to just kind of go through some of those things.
Okay.
So I have clients that sometimes they are thinking about refinancing, and they don't know when they should, how much does the interest rate have to be lower than what it was when they locked in, all those kind of things. And I have a lot of knowledge in that just from my experience. So I always tell people, call me, let's talk through it. And then if it's questions I can't answer, guess what? I have great connections with some really good lenders. So I will often counsel people about when it is time to refinance.
I imagine that has a lot to do with how long you're going to be in a home.
It does. And just, how long have you owned it, and what rate did you lock in when you bought it?
Sure.
So those are the things. Those are a lot of factors. So, and sort of along that line, some people, when they buy the house, if they don't put 20% down, they're paying mortgage insurance.
Yes.
We like to keep a really close eye on that for our clients, and periodically do a market analysis so we can see when they've got enough equity in the home that even if they haven't paid that additional percentage down, with the values going up, they've reached that goal and are able to get that mortgage insurance dropped. Which
is a significant piece of change.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I helped at least 6 of my clients get that accomplished this year. So, we keep close tabs on all that. We don't go to the closing table and say, okay, that's another one done, bye-bye. We feel like now that's part of our responsibility. That's another client to keep in touch with. And when it's, the end of the year, we make sure that you guys have taken care of your homesteading, right? This is something that has a deadline. We want to make sure you've done it. And, we just keep tabs on them and keep counseling them and guiding them.
That's fantastic. I imagine that there's a lot of happy folks when you give them that call, and they may not have expected, and go, hey, by the way, did you know that based upon what we're seeing in the market, you have that 20% equity?
Yeah, and now that I have that HomeBot ad, a lot of them are seeing it because, they get these notifications, right?
Oh, sure.
So that's really helpful, too. Another thing that people will call me about is, they've maybe been in the house 7 years, 10 years, 15, and they say, oh, Robin, do you remember us? Do you remember selling us this house? Yeah, of course. Well, we're thinking about adding a 4-season porch, or we're thinking about taking 2 of the smaller bedrooms upstairs and making 1 large bedroom. So I always tell people, before you make any remodeling decisions, let me just come over, take a look, walk me through what you're thinking about doing, and then I can tell you if that is going to be money well spent as far as the value of your home, the value of the neighborhood. Is it money you're going to get back, or is it money that you're just not going to get back, but if it's something that's really important to you and you're going to be there for, several years, do it anyway. But it's just something that I can walk you through.
Yeah, factor that into your decision-making process. I did not know that you did that. That's fantastic.
I absolutely do that. And then if they do decide to move forward, I know contractors, right? I know somebody in every field. So I know plumbers, I know electricians, I know guys who do flooring, I knew, roofers and guys who will do the siding and painters. So I always say, if you don't know somebody, you don't have a relationship with somebody, but you need to get contact information for a contractor that you know is going to be good and honest and trustworthy, call me. I know these people. Okay, so that's something else that I do.
Okay, we're gonna continue on along with what I suspect is a really, really long list. After this is fantastic, Robin. We do have to take a really quick break, and we'll be back.
Okay, sounds good.
More with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE results in a moment on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Results, and this morning Robin has been filling me in and all of us on the full service slate of things that she does for the folks she works with, and I'm impressed, Robin.
Well, thank you. And I mean, the bottom line is I always tell people when we get to that closing table, I really do want to be your realtor for life. I mean, I really believe in relationships, and I love it when I meet a client that says, like somebody will come into my open house and I'll say, are you working with an agent? And they say, oh, yes, I've been working with so-and-so for the past 20 years. And it makes me feel so good because I love when we are professional enough in our industry to form those relationships and to gain that trust and respect.
Yeah, that tells you.
It's important.
Well, it also tells you you're doing something right at that point.
Yes, it's important. So, next subject we'll talk about if you're thinking about selling in the future. And everybody's idea of future is something different. I recently had a phone call from a client who was referred to me by a friend who is going to be retiring in 4 years and will want to sell their home in 4 years. And they were at a crossroads because it's time to paint their wooden house, and they wanted to know, is it going to make sense for us to just side the house? In 4 years we're going to sell it. Is it something that we're going to get our money back on? Is it going to make our house more sellable? So that was a fun one because what I ended up doing, it's a real modern, it's a modern style or contemporary style house. And I ended up having our photographer go out and take a professional picture. And then I had Brian, who is our graphic designer in our marketing department, who is so talented, take that photo and change things like not only the color of the siding, but like the direction of the siding and some extra like wood panels and some funky garage doors, and then print that picture out, email that picture to them. And actually I printed it out in a big wide panoramic and brought it up to them to show them what the house could look like. And it just helps people because they can visualize before they make a big investment. And then I could also show them what other houses like theirs sell for and how the ones that have been resided fared versus the ones that haven't. So it's valuable information.
It's very valuable. And this is for somebody that you had sold a home to years before.
Not this person.
Okay.
This was a friend of somebody I have sold several houses to. So after we did this, this was the first time I ever met this lady, and with no contract, no obligation, I just offered this input. And of course, she told me, when we get ready to sell this house in 4 years from now, we will be calling you. And I absolutely believe that she will be.
I believe that she will too. You have patience too.
Yes, and it's like I say, it's a process to build these relationships. It's fun. I've told you this before, but it's fun that now I'm selling houses to the children of people that I sold houses to when I got in the business. So that's fun.
I didn't know from the very beginning when you and I started talking to each other that, you shared your philosophy about giving to the community, that when it's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah, and that's what you give to your community gives back. There's no doubt about it. And it's necessary. It's necessary to survive and to grow for us to give what we have to give. But that's a whole other subject. I could talk for a whole show on that. Anyway, so another thing that people want to know if they're preparing to move is, we have a few things that need to be fixed. This thing has been bothering us, and this screen door has been broken.
Yep.
Do you know any handyman services? And so that's something that we get calls for a lot. And we do know very good handyman services. And not only do we know them, but one of the realtors on our team is also a very talented handyman. And when he's not too busy selling houses, although he's pretty busy these days, he will do some handyman stuff on the side. So that's been really helpful too.
That is a useful piece of information because, especially, the older you get, the less willing you are to take on some of those smaller carpentry projects.
Right, exactly. So it's and it's, when you say smaller, that's the key word. But it is the key word because if somebody just has one thing that needs to be fixed, it's really hard to get that professional to come out for those small jobs.
That's true.
So it's good to have those inside connections.
And anyone who's attempted to do a screen door will know how frustrating a screen door can be. Unless you have experience doing it.
Yeah. And I've even seen Scott out rescreening somebody's broken screen window because we couldn't get somebody to do it. So, we're going to do what it takes to help you get that house ready. And, between having some talented guys on our team and just lots of muscle, you've heard me mention before that we've had to all pitch in and clear out a house because the people were elderly and they didn't know what they were going to do with all the stuff and their kids lived out of state. So we'll do what it takes to get the job done.
Wow. Full service.
People will ask us, who do you recommend as movers? And, do you have any idea where we could rent storage? And those are all things that we know. And we have lists of recommended vendors that we're happy to share. Whether you're our client or you're just somebody listening, we are willing to recommend those, that list of recommended vendors, or to share that list, rather.
That's incredible. Just a resource for the entire community as well.
Yes. And sometimes people say, can you just come and walk through and tell me what do I have to do to get the house on the market? Well, that's an easy one, and I would say all realtors will do that. And if they won't, then they probably should think about another profession. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure all realtors will do that.
But you've also told me, and depending on what's happening in the market, your answer may vary because if the market's red hot and you have that house that is in that sweet spot, as far as pricing is concerned, you might say, no, go ahead and just put it on the market.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why it is so important to get professional opinion, because some people are busting their backs, painting everything, getting everything done. And it's like, oh, guys, sorry, you're already going to get top dollar whether you repainted that room or not, and you're already going to sell very quickly. So you don't have a lot to gain from that other than a really happy buyer because it's already been done.
All right, we're talking with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE results this morning. Back in just a moment on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. I'm Andy Brownell and I'm with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Results on this Saturday morning. And we've been chatting about the extra mile that the Gwaltney Group will go for. It's not only the clients. It's folks who just give them a call. It's an impressive list, Robin.
Well, thanks. And I think it's important that people understand, what realtors can do besides just helping buy and sell houses. Because yeah, sure, it's all connected some way, but I mean, we branch out pretty far. For example, I have kids, I raised a lot of kids from the RBC house, right? And so I have kids that live in states all across the country. Well, none of them would ever think about buying or selling a house without calling me first, because they want me to call the realtor and do the interview and pick somebody that's going to be a good match for them and do a referral for them. And that is something that I do all the time, not just for my family, but for friends. I have a lot of friends that have left Mayo Clinic and transferred and moved around the country a lot. And they're always calling me and asking me, like, can you help find me a good realtor in Atlanta, Georgia, in Nashville, Tennessee, in Scottsdale, Arizona? And that is something that I take a lot of pride in. You know that I go to RE/MAX meetings, that I belong to the top 1% of the RE/MAX agents in the world, and that I go to, I have even lately virtual meetings with these people, and we brainstorm. And so I have a very good sense of who's really good. And so I don't just pick a name off of a list and say, here's a realtor for you. I find somebody that's going to do a very good job for you. I actually take it really personally, and I want somebody that's going to take as good a care of you as I would. So that's something that I can do for you. So no matter where you're moving, I can help you find the great agent to help you.
Super valuable advice there. That's for sure.
Sometimes I get calls from people that say, my elderly parents need to downsize. They're going to need help. We talked a little bit about that before the break. We've actually had to, line things up. I'll call the people that'll come to pick up the donations. I'll arrange for a dumpster to be delivered. We'll get people from our team to go over, and they'll say, throw that. We'll physically help them. We'll hire cleaning service to come in and clean. We will help you from the minute you decide to sell the house all the way until the minute the sold sign goes up and you've signed at the closing at the closing table.
One of my favorite stories since we started doing this program was, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but something got messed up, and the people had not been able to get their stuff out of the home.
Oh, my gosh,
and the closing was, hours away.
Oh.
And the phone call went out to your team, and they went over and
loaded the moving truck.
Physically moved it.
Yeah, loaded the moving truck. And then the best part of that whole story was one of the agents at the time had a client who lived very close, and she knew that she was home. So she called her and said, do me a favor, I can't help my teammates, but can you run over and drop off some food and some drinks and some water for them, and I'll pay. I mean, it was just total, it really warmed my heart. It was amazing.
That's a wonderful story.
Yeah, it's great. And that is typical. I mean, we work together to get it done. I guess we don't have much time left, but the one other subject that I get a lot of calls on is people will call me and say, do you sell lots? I want to build a new house. Or, Robin, I want to build and I don't know the first thing about it. How do I go about it? And that is something that it is so important to have an advocate when you're building houses.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so important to have somebody that's just on your side. And I mean, there's a lot of really good builders in this area, but let's face it, no matter how good you are, your own interest is what's going to come first. And so if there's a dispute between the builder and the buyer, and you're looking for the builder to help you resolve it, it's not always an easy thing. So I've had a lot of clients that I've walked through the new build process over the course of the last 22 years. And I'll tell you what, they always are super appreciative that they have that extra set of eyes and ears. I know a lot more about it than they do in most cases. I know what questions to ask. I know what to watch for. So that is something that we absolutely do for people. And I'm super glad that we do that.
Well, that is an extraordinarily expansive list of things that are above and beyond what I would have expected from my realtor. So if you are a person who has been listening today and want that full service, how do you get a hold of Robin Gwaltney and the Gwaltney Group?
Well, we would absolutely love to help you in any way that we can, and you are always welcome to call my cell phone, and that number is 507-259-4926.
All right.
Or you can visit our website, gwaltneygroup.com.
And look at those beautiful pictures on that website, that's for sure. All right,
Thanks.
Robin. And, well, you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Sounds great. You too, Andy.
Thanks a lot. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX results on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.